Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the final race preview of the season. And that is, of course, as ever, for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. If you've been following the channel for a while, then it will come as no huge surprise to hear that this is not generally a race I tend to look forward to all that much. And I'm not really a huge fan of the circuit itself. However, there is absolutely no denying that the backdrop is spectacular, as is the atmosphere apparently by all accounts. And as it is the final race of 2019, I still intend to enjoy it as much as possible. It's a long wait till March. In fairness though, I have to say last year's race at Yas Marina was actually pretty decent. There was huge drama on the first lap, as I'm sure you'll remember, at turn 5 as Nico Hülkenberg was sent barrel rolling into the barrier following a collision with Romain Grosjean. The Renault came to rest upside down and Hülkenberg, in his own words, was left hanging like a cow. Thankfully though, Nico was absolutely fine. On lap 6, we saw Max Verstappen and Esteban Ocon wheel to wheel again, this time for position, with the Dutchman coming out on top. It was definitely tense given what had happened 2 weeks previously in Brazil. A lap later, poor Kimi Raikkonen pulled over to retire from his final race for Ferrari following a loss of power. That brought out the virtual safety car, which Mercedes took advantage of by pitting Lewis Hamilton early. On lap 31, there was a brilliant little fight between Grosjean, Ocon and Stoffel van Dorn, with them going 3 wide on the run to turn 11, and Stoff, who had just been passed by both of them, managed to re-overtake the pair of them because he's just that good. However, a lap later, Ocon drove clean around the outside of the McLaren through turn 15 and 16 in what looked like a superb and brave move, but the Frenchman went into turn 17 too deep, left the track and was given a 5-second time penalty for leaving the track, obviously, and gaining an advantage. Lap 38 and Verstappen was closing in on Bottas for third place and went for a move into turn 11, cutting back very nicely to get the move done into 12. But the two did bang wheels and Bottas ended up off the track. But to be fair, it was a good aggressive move, no penalties needed there at all. And of course, the Finn did later lose out to the second Red Bull of Daniel Ricciardo. There was loads of action going on throughout the field, including some questionable driving from Fernando Alonso towards the end of the race, as he kept locking up and cutting the chicane as he chased down Kevin Magnussen. It was cheeky and actually quite funny as well, to be fair. You could just tell it was his final race and he really wasn't that bothered. He was determined to at least try and finish 10th, even if he did get penalties. But the weekend will most likely be best remembered for the emotional scenes after the race as Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel flanked Fernando Alonso to the grid, where the three of them went on to do some donuts for the crowd. Awesome stuff and a great send-off for Fernando. Let's have a look at some track stats then, and the circuit is 5.554 kilometres long, or if you work in miles, that's 3.451, and it consists of 21 corners, that's 12 to the left and 9 to the right, and on Sunday we will have a total of 55 race laps. The race lap record is still held by Sebastian Vettel, who set that record all the way back in 2009 with a 140.279. But the fastest ever lap around the circuit is a 134.794, which was set by Lewis Hamilton last year on his way to taking pole position. Now, Yas Marina made its first appearance on the F1 calendar back in 2009 and has obviously therefore held a total of 10 races with 5 different drivers taking victory in that time, and those drivers are Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton, Kimi Raikkonen, Nico Rosberg and Valtteri Bottas. The pole sitter has gone on to win on 5 occasions, with the winner coming from the front row 6 times, and the average winning margin comes in at just over 9.5 seconds. Both titles may have already been wrapped up this year, but Abu Dhabi has seen the championship decided on 3 occasions, and they were in 2010, what a tense race that was, as well as 2014 and 2016. What I'd give for a title decider this weekend, not taking anything away from Lewis Hamilton, of course. Just super quickly, I want to say a huge thank you to Lights Out Blog for providing some of the stats, not only for this preview, but for the previews over the course of 2019. For one final time, if you love a good stat, then make sure you check out their website and give them a follow over on Twitter. And as ever, the link is in the description. When it comes to overtaking opportunities, well, turn 1 is the first chance of the lap, but it's not the easiest place to get a move done. And although there is a long sweeping run to the chicane of turns 5 and 6, it is very tight in there. And we have seen some pretty hefty contact in those corners over the years. I would say there are probably really only 2 main overtaking spots, certainly in terms of where we are most likely to see moves made. There is a ridiculously long straight between turns 7 and 8 with DRS down much of it, and that should see drivers going for it into turns 8 and 9. However, directly after that turn 9, there is another DRS detection point for the second zone on the track, which means that the driver that has just been overtaken will likely get the chance to fight back on the run to turn 11. I must say, the way they've done that in Abu Dhabi works really well. All of that can leave drivers side by side through turns 12, 13 and 14, but after that I doubt we'll see much in the way of overtaking. Perhaps if someone gets a good run through 15 and 16 and they are feeling particularly brave, we might see the odd move made into turn 17. I doubt it though, so yeah, turns 8 and 11 are definitely the best spots. The tyres available for this weekend are the hard C3, the medium C4 and the soft C5. That's the 3 softest compounds in the range, but the C3 is apparently a step harder than last year's hardest compound, and so Pirelli have said that they are once again expecting to see most teams go for a one-stop strategy, which was of course the winning strategy for Lewis Hamilton last season. Now, Abu Dhabi is unique in that the race runs through into the evening, and so that makes FP1 and FP3 pretty much unrepresentative. But with the amount of data that teams have got, I really doubt that will make too much of a difference to things. After all, Yas Marina has been on the calendar for a decade now. It is worth mentioning that the post-season tyre test takes place after this weekend's race, and there is still the possibility that teams will reject the new 2020 tyres and instead opt in favour of keeping the current crop. So that is definitely something to keep an eye on in the days and weeks following the end of the season. When it comes to the weather, I'm going to try and be a little bit less sarcastic than I was last year, because let's be honest, I was left with egg on my face come the end of the race. As I've said all season, this could change before the weekend, but at time of recording and according to the Met Office, it should stay dry all weekend with less than a 5% chance of rain across all 3 days of on-track action. Then again, that's what the forecast said last year and we did get a sprinkling of rain, so you never know. And as I'm sure you've all already guessed, it's going to be a warm one as well. Right then, I've got 3 news stories I want to go over before I get onto my predictions, starting with Williams, who have today confirmed that Nicholas Latifi will partner George Russell at the team next season. Surprise, surprise. The Canadian has been heavily linked with the second seat for much of the season, and with Robert Kubica leaving the team after Abu Dhabi, the team have opted to give Latifi his seat. Latifi said that he was thrilled to be stepping up as a race driver for 2020 and has enjoyed working with the team this year, supporting them with the development of the car and assisting wherever I can trackside and at the factory. Claire Williams added that the team have been immensely impressed at what he has achieved this year in Formula 2, along with his commitment to the team and the work that he has put in behind the scenes. Look, I don't think this is going to come as too much of a surprise to anyone. Like I say, it's been rumoured for much of the season now, but it'll be interesting to see how he gets on next season. And what it does mean as well is that the 2020 grid is now complete, meaning Nico Hülkenberg will not be racing in F1 next season. Mercedes have confirmed that Valtteri Bottas will start from the back of the grid on Sunday following a power unit change. As I'm sure you'll remember, Bottas retired from the Brazilian Grand Prix after smoke began to pour from the back of his car whilst battling with Charles Leclerc. As a result of that, the Silver Arrows have been forced to give the Finn a fresh internal combustion engine, a new turbocharger and a new MGU-H, which means a back of the grid start. What it also means is that we as fans hopefully get to enjoy his charge through the field on Sunday afternoon. Let me know in the comments where you think he'll recover to on Sunday. And finally, for this quick news bit, Red Bull and Toro Rosso have both confirmed that they will continue to be powered by Honda until the end of the 2021 season. There have been some discussion and speculation over the future of the Japanese manufacturer in Formula 1 beyond the end of next season. However, after I think it's fair to say an impressive first year with Red Bull and the publishing of the 2021 regulations, Honda have decided to stick around for a little bit longer. I think this is great news for Red Bull, for Toro Rosso and Honda, but also for Formula 1. Let's face it, there are only the 4 manufacturers involved in the sport, and so losing one of them would have been a hard one to take. And whilst there are still question marks over Renault's long-term future, Honda signing up for 2021 is an important moment for F1, and hey, who knows? If they keep on improving next year, they might even be able to challenge for a title soon, and that might tempt them into staying a little bit longer. But I'm fully aware that's me getting well ahead of myself. Let's move on though to my final predictions of 2019. Now this year I've been brilliant at these and I've got so many of them right. Yeah. Anyway, you'd expect Mercedes to go well this weekend. After all, they have won each of the last 5 races at Yas Marina and they've also taken the last 5 pole positions there too. Basically, it's definitely a Mercedes track. There are a couple of long straights, or at least runs on the track anyway, which could benefit Ferrari over one lap, and you can never really write off Red Bull. But I'm still going to go with a Lewis Hamilton pole position and a Lewis Hamilton win as well. I will throw a sort of random one in there too and say that Bottas will recover from the back of the grid to finish 5th, and as a result will probably take driver of the day as well. One final prediction I want to make though is for that 5th place in the Constructors' Championship. Renault do currently have a lead over Toro Rosso of 8 points, but thanks to that second place for Gasly in Brazil, they're going to be sweating just a little bit. That being said, although I've got a feeling Toro Rosso will outscore them, I do expect Renault will hang on to 5th place just. I also don't expect to see any changes between the rest of the teams, and I do feel like Max Verstappen will hold off Charles Leclerc in the fight for that 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship. That is it then for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix preview, but you can let me know your thoughts and your predictions ahead of the weekend down in the comment section. And don't forget as well that the poll for the F1 Word Driver of the Season is now open, and you can vote by following the link in the description. Now, I will be back soon with more content as ever, but in the meantime, don't forget that you can of course follow me over on social media, and all of the links you need for that are in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.